The Minutemen entered the 1996 NCAA tournament with a 31-1 record and a #1 seed in the East region. Anything short of a Final Four appearance would be considered a disappointment.
The Final Four is a term that has a magical sound to it. I mean, this is a stamp of having truly arrived. That was a step that UMass had never taken.
UMass played like a team on a mission, rolling through the early rounds of the tournament and easily into a second straight Elite Eight appearance. The next hurdle to clear, the second-seeded Georgetown Hoyas.
The importance of that game can't be understated. John Thompson, Allen Iverson, that was a great Georgetown team with an all-world kind of player.
Anytime you can get a chance to go against a great player like Allen Iverson, you're going to have your work cut out for you. And they were another team that had, a lot of future NBA players on their team. Jerome Williams, Shahadi White.
Calipari tried to find a way to make UMass the underdog in that game, and he would talk about, he's doing a press conference, I bet all of you in your brackets have us losing to Georgetown.
The game was played at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta on March 23rd, 1996.
Well, they're going into that game against Allen Iverson. It was Georgetown, but it was really Allen Iverson. And there was a pretty strong feeling that he would probably be the first pick in the draft, and maybe was unstoppable. Calipari put Carmelo Travieso on Iverson. He played man-to-man defense, and in the first part of the first half, Iverson's coming down and doing his moves and his jukes, and I hear John say, "You can do it, Carmelo!"
In order for us to beat that team, we had to slow down AI. Carmelo Travieso did a great job with shadow him. I think he shot a low percentage, and every basket he made was a tough basket.
The way that game played out, close for the first half. UMass was up by 4 at the half, and then just absolutely took off on them. Won by 24.
8 minutes to go, I'm sitting there, and I'm going like, oh my gosh, we're going to be in the Final Four. That's my recollection. My other recollection was the first play of the game, Allen Iverson went down the middle and dunked on Marcus Camby, and I looked at my staff and said, this is not going to be easy. And it was easier than I thought.
John just lined up all the defenses against Allen Iverson, and he took him out of his game. Oh, God, I'd never expected to beat them, and I think of the moment right now, and I get excited.
I've been to a lot of Final Fours, and when I was at Final Fours, I wasn't thinking about New England teams, or I was thinking about the North Carolinas and the Kentuckys and those kind of teams. And to see little old UMass finally making it, it was something very special.
It felt good for university to get to the Final Four, but us as players, it felt real good to finally get over that obstacle to the Elite Eight. AI, I mean, he had a tremendous year that year, and we always talk about that the last couple of years we were in Denver. I always talk about how I ended his college career.
No one was happier than Jack Lehman, waiting for John Calipari to finish his post-game press conference, waiting out in the corridor, and then this sort of big embrace of these two men. They had arrived at the pinnacle of the sport. Obviously, they wanted to win 2 more games, and there was a very tough Kentucky team that they had beaten once before was waiting in the wings.
The nation had to wait a week for the rematch with Kentucky, and it became one of the most anticipated contests in Final Four history.
UMass and Kentucky were the 2 best teams. That was the matchup that everybody wanted. People were getting thousands of dollars, $10,000 at the outer reach for tickets to the Final Four. There was just something electric about it, and the relationship obviously between the 2 coaches, there was something that was magical in there.
That should have been the final game. Rules were changed later to make sure that never happened again. That was #1 versus #2. Why would you be in a semifinal? Well, it was because even though we were #1 in the country, we got no respect. We weren't supposed to be there.
This is the real national championship game. Forget who's playing on Monday. This is the game right here.
UMass was in the Final Four. It was a Massachusetts team. It was our state university at the Meadowlands. You could just get on the road, drive down to New Jersey, go over the bridge, and you were there. The build-up was everything it should have been. It was incredible.
Kentucky came in on a high. They were playing great basketball. They had great players that were playing well, like Tony Delk, Derek Anderson, Antoine Walker.
Marcus, he was so nervous and hyped up. That's why I subbed him. If you go back and watch the tape, I subbed him 40 seconds into the game because before he was introduced, he was thrown up into a towel. I was making the team huddle around him so no one would see. Then he went out and jumped, and you could see he was about ready to pass out. I took him out, and then I put him back in, and he calmed down. It was an interesting way to start the game, I could tell you.
Kentucky took a significant lead against UMass. UMass got into some guard foul trouble with Travieso. Goodell Padilla, who was a walk-on on that team and was Edgar's brother, was called on as sort of this wild card pick off the bench by Calipari to come in and rallied UMass.
Taking the pass down inside. Look at this spin move. Padilla to Camby and one. And that wasn't Edgar, that was Goodell.
UMass didn't play poorly, not by any stretch. Fell behind by 15 in the second half. Came back, got it to within 3 on a couple of occasions, ended up losing by 7.
They pulled away from us in the second half, and that was probably the worst defeat I ever had personally. And just to see the guys' faces at the end of the game and the tears and the sadness of us not getting the job accomplished and win a national championship.
The Wildcats beat Syracuse 2 nights later to win the national championship. Things would change quickly for UMass. 1 month later, Camby declared for the NBA draft after 3 dominating seasons in a Minutemen uniform. A bigger loss came shortly thereafter, when in June, Calipari announced he was leaving for the NBA.
Then he leaves. That caught people by surprise, caught me by surprise. And it was a big disappointment. And people in our area were not ready for that. We had not been accustomed to the truth of college basketball, the reality that better offers come.
If that offer didn't come, I probably would have stayed at Mass. I don't think there was a college job that I would have left for. But I created security for my family, and I was able to still coach.
And a lot of people say to me, why did John leave? And I always say to them, John was a poor kid out of Pittsburgh. If you got offered $15 million to coach the New Jersey Nets, I says, how can you turn down $15 million? And the answer is, you can't.
He always told me that, you know, as long as I was going to be at UMass, he was going to be my coach. And of course, we all had bigger and better dreams besides being in college. And once I decided to turn pro, he was going to try to further his career also. I owe a lot of respect to him. I thought we both made great decisions.
He had brought the program from -0 to national prominence. He was as big or as important as the chancellor on campus.
There's a special place in my heart. This school and the administration took a chance on a young 29-year-old coach. They had no idea. They said he can recruit. We don't know if he can coach. And I wanted to stay. But we all knew if something like the NBA had been offered that I was going to try it, and I wanted to try it, and I'm happy I did. But my time here was special.